go through scanning and modifying it and going over some of the stuff I did during the last class, and at least having a video for you to reference in regards to that. I've opened up this page on the internet just to show you how to scan stuff you'll need for scanning into a Windows document or onto a Windows computer. I'm doing this on a Mac, including Gimp. It's going to look a little different than what you're doing in Windows, and the commands should all be there, so it's the same commands. But according to this page, you need two things installed on your PC to scan a document into a Windows computer: a scanner you use connected to a wired, wireless, or network connection, and an app for scanning files such as Windows Scan, available for free. The Windows Scan will help you scan pictures and save them as a JPEG, bitmap, or PNG files. We're going to use them as a JPEG. And they also have information here on install and use Scanner in Windows, and then you can get the Windows Scan if it's not already on your machine. Wow, there's the full address, but it's wicked long. So I would just type in scanning into Windows, and this should come up. All right. I'm going to shut that down. And now what I'm going to do, the first thing I've done is I've set up a desktop folder, 2023LD Final Project Demo Files. You could just call yours Final Project Files. I just have it on the desktop just so I know where everything's going to go. So now what I've done is I'm going to go into my scanning software. On the Mac, you can do that in System Preferences. You can go to Printers and Scanners, and you can select the printer or scanner, and you can hit Scan. Open Scanner. Waiting for Scanner. This is going to vary from scanner to scanner, but typically it's going to be something similar, and what it's going to ask is whether you want in color or black and white, the resolution, the paper size, orientation, and you have to give it a name, the format. So let's go through each one of these. I'm just going to keep it set for in color. Resolution, I'd like you all to be using 300 dots per inch consistently. We'll also do that in Gimp. Paper size, I'm going to go US letter. Okay, and when I did that, you'll see there's a marching ant box. That's what these are called when the little dots are marching. And it is around my drawing, which is good. That's what I want, and I appear to have the whole drawing in there. Where I want to scan it to is desktop. I have to look, give me a second. Desktop, LD, project files. Choose, so I've chosen the folder it wants to go into, and then I have to give it a name, and we're going to call it 2023 Class Perspective BW Scan. File type is JPEG. I don't have any image correction. I then hit Scan. Now, I could have saved this in black and white, but I feel better doing it in color, and then I can just desaturate it and strip all that out in Gimp, and I'll show you how I do that. Oh, this is going to take a while. Oh, it's there, supposedly. All right, so now I've scanned this in. I can close these. Then I'm going to go to Gimp. And I'm going to go File, Gimp. I'm going to go File, New. I'm going to set the dimensions to inches. I'm going to have the width be 11 and the height be 8.5, 8.5 by 11. Under Advanced Options, I want to make sure my resolution is set to 300 by 300 pixels per inch. RGB color's fine, and the rest I can just leave alone, and hit OK. All right, now what it's given me is a blank 8.5 by 11 sheet My rulers are set up. I did down here, I've got them set into inches, not pixels, not millimeters, but inches. And it says up here that it's 11 inches. There's 0, there's 11, there's 0, there's 8.5. So it's 8.5 by 11. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File. I'm going to go File, Save. I'm going to want to put it back into my demo files. And I'm going to call it 2023 Final Project BW, or let's go Perspective, BW corrected. And I have to remember to put the period in there. Oh, do I have two? I can't really tell. Nope, I just got one. All right, so let's go ahead and save that. When I do that, there's the name up there. It's a Gimp file. Now I'm going to go File, Open as Layers. And there is my class perspective BW scan in a JPEG format. Let's click on that. And we brought it in. If you see down here, I've got my navigator window open. It's a little big, but I can make that smaller by dragging it up. I've got my layers windows open, and there's the layer I brought in. I want to make sure I'm in this layer. I need to rotate it. Tools, Transform Tools, Rotate. And I can just type in, I believe it's -90. Rotate. And there we go. So I just turned it a quarter turn counterclockwise. I'm going to bring a ruler line in and see how straight it is. And as luck would have it, it's pretty straight. So I don't have to rotate this to correct it. If when I brought it in, it was crooked, like for example, it looked like that, then I would have to straighten it out. And to do that, I would bring a guideline down on a straight line on the top and a straight line on the bottom, kind of in the middle. And I would go Tools, Transform Tools, Rotate. And I would just, you can grab the corner of the drawing and just click and turn it. And I would turn it till it lines up, and you can see it, and both lines look pretty straight, and I would hit Rotate. I would then get rid of these guides. If I go into the Move tool, and I see that, see how it turned red? I can just drag it up and put it back up into the ruler, and they go away. Now I want to get rid of the background on this and the color. So for color, it's pretty easy. In this case, I'm going to go Colors, Hue Saturation, and I'm going to take the saturation, and I'm just going to drag it, or I'm going to use this because it's faster. I'm just going to bring saturation all the way down to 0. Notice it just turned into a black and white. In this case, we want it to be black and white. Hit OK. Next, if you'll notice on this, it's black and white, but the background looks a little gray. And I can show you that, and you don't have to do this, but I can show you how you can see that. I just did a little rectangular selection. If I do that, and I go Edit, Cut, I just got rid of, select None. See how I just made this white hole in the drawing? That means it's just showing me the background. And I've got this gray from all the tracing paper. So somehow we have to get rid of that. I kind of like to keep this square there, and I've zoomed in a little. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use curves. I'm going to go up to Colors, Curves, And what I want to do is I drag this one over till that background goes away. And you can see it. Look at the square. I mean, I can make it darker too. But if I go this way, you'll watch the square start to disappear. Once it's disappeared, you've gone far enough. You've gotten rid of all the background. And you can keep playing with that to see where it disappears completely. And that's pretty good. But now you'll notice my lines became fairly gray in spots. If I grab this, left click on it and move it over, the more I move it, the blacker they get. Well, you know, I don't want to get too carried away. So in this case, I'm going to move it to about, here's fine. And now I've got some pretty solid black lines. Hit OK. Now let's hit save. Save. I'm going to zoom out and take a look at my drawing. Ooh, I zoomed out a little too much there. Okay, now you'll notice it's a nice, crisp black and white drawing. I've saved it. Now what I would do is I would save this as File, Export, and let's do this. We're going to call it Black and White Scan Corrected. And save it as a JPEG, export. Going to go to the same place as before, LD Project Demo files. And quality, I want to do it 100. And just hit export. The reason I do that is I'm now going to open this up in a different, I use Preview, but you'll probably use something else on Windows. It's difficult to print from Gimp. I find it difficult to print from Gimp, but if I have it as a JPEG, I can just print this out right from my computer to a white piece of paper, which is what I would do next. And when I've got that white piece of paper, I could then color it, like the color ones I've given you in the past. So now the next thing I'm going to do, getting back into Gimp, what I want to do is I'm going to save this, but I'm going to put a different layer in with just the black lines. And you saw me do that last time in class, but let's do it again. I'm going to zoom in a little. Okay, I'm going to pan up to here so I get a little of everything. I'm going to go Colors, select by color. I click on the black, and notice I set my threshold to 150, and notice how I've got little marching ants. Maybe it's is it 150 or is it 155? I want to see something here. Yep, no, I've got marching ants all the way around my black lines, which is great. Threshold 150 works fine. Zoom in. I'm going to go Edit, Copy. Make sure you're in this layer, not the background layer. And then I'm going to go Edit, Paste as, New Layer. And it looks like nothing's happened, but you'll see I got a thing here that says Pasted Layer. I'm going to go ahead and double click on that. And when I do, the name, I can type a different name in. I'm going to go BW Line Work. Okay. And next I'm going to go Select None so I can get rid of all those black ants, marching ants. Again, looks like it was before, but what I want to show you is that if I shut off the original layer, 2023 class perspective, the scanned layer, nothing happens. If I shut off the background layer, you'll see all that's left is the line work. And that's what we want. So let's go ahead and turn these layers back on for now. Let's go File, Save. And so what we've done is we've scanned it in, we've printed it out so we can color it, and we've taken the GIMP file and separated a layer for just the black and white lines. And then we'll go on to another video to show you how to bring the color into that.